It's that time of year again where everybody sets goals for the year to come, all different areas of life and whatnot. I mean, I'll focus on money here and wealth creation just because of the type of channel it is, but you can sort of implement what's going to be said in all areas of your life, really. The reason most goals don't work, the reasons are numerous. I'll try and go through them. The predominant one being people are very surface level and short term with the goals that they set, right? So they'll go, as an example, I want another £10,000 a month in passive income for a round figure, whatever. And that's surface level, right? If you don't ask yourself why you want that thing and go a level below, then there's not going to be enough energy, there's not going to be enough of a flame, inspiration to actually make that goal stick, right? That's why within a couple of weeks, within the fitness industry, it's well known that people say, I'm going to get fit and blah, 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 and within 2 or 3 weeks, that's out the window, right? They just completely forgot about it. That's because it was surface level. I'm going to lose 10 pound in body fat or whatever it's going to be. If there's no reason why, if the reason isn't because I want to see my kids grow up, or I want to, I don't know, lose a couple of stone because I'm at risk of having a stroke, for example. If the pain isn't big enough, if the inspiration isn't big enough behind that, then the goal's not going to stick, right? And the same in wealth creation. So if you say I want another couple of grand a month or 10 grand a month, whatever it is, the number doesn't really matter. If the reason why you're doing that isn't authentic to you and not just been put there by society, then that goal won't stick. Simple as that. That's one reason. The other one's short-term thinking. So this is, in my opinion, one of the issues with social media is you just look and you find all these people who are sharing cars and all that bollocks. And people go, oh, I want a new car. I want to make enough money to buy a car, right? That doesn't work. If there's not enough motivation there and you're not willing to sacrifice things to make that a reality, it's not going to happen. So if you want to make 100 grand to buy yourself a Lamborghini, for example, okay, great. Surface level again, but whatever. Let's say you do that in 10 months, right? What are you prepared to sacrifice to make that £100,000? Because I can more or less guarantee if you could have made that 100 grand, you would have made it by now, right? Unless you've got some radical new skill set that you didn't have prior, you're going to have to sacrifice something that you're doing today in order to make that happen. That could be time on social media. It could be, reading books and acquiring knowledge and whatever that you haven't currently got, and you'll have to sacrifice time doing something else. You might have to sacrifice going out with your mates or whatever else in order to hit this, right? Another sticking point is that people use numbers rather than using habits as a goal, right? So let me give you an example. Use that 10 grand a month. I want to get to £10,000 a month in so-called passive income, which is a bit of an oxymoron, but so-called passive income. Okay, great. Let's say rental income from property, for example. Okay, so how are you going to do that? Now, the system and the habit should be the goal and not the number. So rather than going, I'm going to make another 10 grand a month, that the goal might be, I am going to track how many offers I put out to estate agents every week, right? Because then from that habit, you're going to be able to work out how many offers you need to put out, to how many offers are accepted, to how much cash flow you're making per deal, to blah, 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 work it out for 10 grand a month. Does that make sense? So the 10 grand is the overarching vision, if you like, but the habit and the system that you're putting in place is actually the goal that needs tracking. So people, again, are too surface level. They're not, and they're using numbers for goals rather than systems and habits for goals. You might want to pay off a credit card, for example. I don't know, 10 grand in credit card debt. I want to pay that off in the next 12 months. Okay, but what habits have got you to being £10,000 in debt in the first place. It might be that you're having Uber Eats 2 or 3 times a week or whatever. I need to stop spending 150 quid on this food that I'm eating, or going out with the mates or whatever. That is the habit or goal that needs looking at and addressed. That will take care of the £10,000. Every single penny that you would spend doing that, you start paying down your credit card. That becomes a good habit. So the habit should be to put every penny saved from going out and getting drunk or eating too much out or whatever, every single penny gets paid down the credit card, right? Now, rather than saying pay off 10 grand of credit card debt, which is very loose, you might just be waiting for money to drop out of the sky. You've now got a fixed system in place, a habitual goal in place that can actually make that a reality, right? And you have to hold yourself accountable. It's also worthwhile, in my opinion, actually having other people to talk these things through, because they will hold you accountable too if they know what they're doing and they've got a bit about them. One thing I like to do as well is like minimise how much headspace each wealth creating habit takes. So rather than having to think about what I'm doing, just to automate the process. It's never been easy to do that, right? So I set a weekly automated Bitcoin purchase every week without even thinking about it. Every Thursday morning I buy Bitcoin. I don't even think about it. I just get a notification. It'll pop up and, oh, there's another 100 quid going into Bitcoin, whatever the price may be, right? Now, that can be done for, again, credit card debt. If you need to pay down credit card debt, rather than paying minimum payment, put another 100 quid on top of the minimum payment and start driving that debt down. Automate it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to say, oh, I can do 50 quid this month and 110 quid next month and all this. No. Just set it, fix it, and you'll be surprised that in a very short period of time, you sort of forget about it. It sort of becomes a forced savings account or a forced debt payment plan or whatever, because you're automating the system. You're not having to think about it. And when you free up that headspace, you can actually be creative, which sort of leads me on to the next point, is that a lot of people's goals are scarcity based. It's because they live in fear all the time. And it's like taxation in a sense. You're sort of taxing yourself. So if you look at the Labour Party here in the UK, it's like they're taxing everybody up to the hills, and the other side ain't no better. I'm not, one side or the other here, but the current Labour Party are taxing people a lot. And it's like, you can't tax your way to growth. You have to grow. You have to be more creative, more entrepreneurial. And it's the same with goal setting for people. So when it comes to wealth creation and making money, you have to grow and expand and offer services that aren't currently in the marketplace. You need to get creative. How can you bring a product or a service to the marketplace that exasperates who you are as a person, right? Rather than going like, I need to save 100 quid a month or something, a couple of 100 quid, or 10 grand, whatever the figure is. Rather than it's quite limited and fear driven. Why are you saving? Go back to the question, I'm saving 500 quid a month or whatever because for a rainy day. I'm saving 500 quid a month for a rainy day to put in a savings account. Okay, fine. What if that 500 quid a month goes into educating yourself on a marketing course to then create a product or service that you've been dying to put together and bring out into the world? That's a completely different mindset. One's a creative one and one's a scarcity one. They're sort of polar opposite. So see where these goals are coming from. And again, go back to why do I want to be doing this? Is the reason because I'm scared? Is it because I'm fearful? Or is it because I genuinely want to bring something good into the world? That's completely different energy behind what you're setting, I always focus on this as well. I notice I catch myself all the time thinking short term. I think it's just TikTok brain. But I'm not on TikTok, by the way, but think generationally. I've make my visions, my big overarching vision is 3 generations away. And my actions today and my goals today are sort of fixed based on 3 generations time, 60, 70 years into the future. And the reason I do that is because you tend to make, in my experience, wiser decisions today when you're focusing further into the future. Whereas if you're thinking about tomorrow, it's all fast and against scarcity and fear. It's like, oh, I need to just make sure I'm getting by today. Whereas when you're thinking of 70 years, 80 years, whatever it is, into the future, the further into the future, probably the better decisions you make. They're wiser, they're more open and creative. They're coming from a place of abundance. So I'm not saying, don't have 12-month goals, because I do, but I'm saying 12-month goals based on 70 years into the future. I look at the Arabic countries in the Middle East, some of them, and they're thinking about their families, aren't they? Like sovereign families who run these places. It's like they're going to stay in those families for generations, and the decisions they make today are for their great grandkids. Whereas we here are just like, politically, we're just like, oh no, as long as we get in the next 4 or 5 years, we've done okay. We get 100 grand a year in whatever, talking fees and pensions and whatever. Whereas them over there, they think 100 years into the future, and their actions today prove that works, because they're the economies that are booming and we're the, stagnating, as it were. And it's the same for the average person and their goal setting as well. And lastly, most importantly, in my opinion, is that you have to look at what money is, your frame of reference, because you can reframe it. So what I consider money to be is God's currency. Now, please don't get lost in any religious sense that it isn't what that is, but like every single penny that comes my way, I feel I have to protect and grow that, and look at it from a holistic perspective. What would God want me to do, or what would life want me to do with this? How would it want me to grow this? What skills have I got, have been gifted to be able to grow and nurture that? And I have to double down on that and not, focus on things I'm not very good at. I can bring other people in to create a more abundant world, as it were, and everyone can have more. So that's how I see money and currency, and I sort of, again, that ties into a long-term vision and long 70, 80 years into the future. That's where my decisions are based, because that's how I see what life, nature, whatever, would want me to do without using my skills. So I'd ask yourself the same question. How do you see money, and the goals that you're setting for yourself, how do they tie together, or don't they? Because there's probably a problem there. They're probably too surface level, too short-term thinking, because that's what most people do. It's what I do sometimes. I have to catch myself doing it. So I hope that helped. I'm going to be releasing like a course or something in the near future. I think more holistic based wealth creation, rather than just making a load of money, because it's easy to just sit there and go, I will show you how to do this and I'll show you how to do that. Most of it's just a load of bullshit, right, online. Whereas when you get people to really study about what they're thinking about, it's more psychological and spiritual, in my opinion, than it is just to make money or just to get out of debt or whatever. There's more going on behind the scenes. So I'd like to sort of bring that out to the marketplace. That's something I'd be interested in doing. If you think that would be a good idea and you'd be interested in joining, please just write a comment. I would appreciate that.